me as the one and all Paul Friends welcoming you to Starfleet Universe On Call. And tonight, well, it's just me and the chat room. And I know Dave's around, and I'm sure Iggy's probably hanging around, and possibly even Chris. So say hello, guys. Hello, guys. Tonight, what I was going to do is, hopefully this will last for the evening. If it's not, I'm sure I'll come up with another topic to fill out the rest of the evening, which is I was going to go do a quick overview of the 4 turns of my round 3 game. Just a quick note why I didn't have a round. I seemed like I got to round 3 relatively quickly. That's because my round 2 game never got played, and Andrew withdrew from the tournament just because of he said basically he was a slacker, and he basically shouldn't win because he always lacks in getting the games done. And the important thing there was that Steve accepted it. As long as Steve accepted it, that's fine. And as is, we weren't really, to me, in my mind, I wasn't running. I thought I wasn't running late, but looks like, according to Steve, I was running late. But I'm not quite sure I was running late. Because you're given 3 weeks to do the first game, and I think it's just like I'm the last of those people because I took all 3 weeks. So I feel pretty confident in saying that the issue was not Andrew, though. Andrew, he missed, and we might be able to get all done, given how slowly my first game against Win Oxbox, well, this type of Win Oxbox, is going. I'm gonna have to say that overall, I'm not. If Andrew would have applied the same style, it would have gone pretty slow. No, I'm looking back at my game. I was doing some quick screenshots because obviously since the game's not completed, which it hasn't, only got up to running to turn 4, I do not want to show things like, my EA for my past turns, just in case Crash and Burn decide to watch this video, which is, of course, it's going to be open for anyone to see, including Crash and Burn. Hi, Crash and Burn, if you are watching this video. Now, I'm not going to... There are certain insights that I definitely did come to, and I'm looking back at the game a little bit, and I realized I did make some mistakes. And after reviewing the game, I made some at least one mistake. Definitely, I made a rules mistake, and we already. Just to let you know, we had a rules error, and in that rules error, we went through it, we discussed it, we discussed remedies to it, and we just decided, that Crash and Bird decided that no, it's okay, it's fine, move on. I think the people watching us were more upset about it than he was. Now, he definitely said, well, if I would have known that, I might have done this. And he thought about it and went, no, this is continue on, though. As I pointed out to him, he could have some more energy back, but that's near the end of that's in turn 4. So we'll talk about it when we get to that point in going over the game. So, but in the interim, let me bring up. Okay. Now, before I show you my first screenshot I was going to show you is Impulse. Well, I might as well show it to you. Let's bring it up. This is Impulse 32 of turn 1. Now, the one thing that I was kind of surprised from the get-go, which was that the win. I'm just gonna refer to, Crash and Burn, who was the player. I'm just going to generalize him to being the win because it's a heck of a lot easier to say the win. Wow, Vikings are beating the Steelers 23-0. Dang. And almost to halftime. That was a pretty good lead. But anyhow, now, the one thing that, if you'll notice, the win is down here near the bottom corner. So for those of you who don't know what that means overall, what that means is that he did a corner dodge. When the first impulse that he could turn, he turned right and went right for the corner. Yeah, what he did is he came from the corner, he went along the bottom edge, came to the corner, turned up, and then turned out. Me, I just came directly. The funny thing is, I was also thinking about doing a corner dodge so that he would have to come to me. Now, overall, at this moment in time, reflecting back on what I did, which was I went right for the middle. I don't see that as a bad move in this case, just because of just because of overall, it wasn't a bad move as expected. I expected him to turn back in more quickly, maybe, but he didn't. He went for a full corner dodge, and I come to realize why he did that. And I'll come to that understanding later on. I'll keep you hanging on that. But so he did a corner dodge. If you notice, he didn't launch a single drone, which to me, that's also kind of strange. I expected me to be fighting against drones the whole time. And nope. He did a corner dodge. He didn't launch. Actually, I can see him waiting to launch the drones. Because if I did a corner dodge and he did a corner dodge, what would happen is that the total range between him and me would be such that the drones would lose tracking. Because if we both did a corner dodge, it would be greater than 35 hexes, and therefore he'd lose tracking. So I can understand why he didn't do it, at least when he first did the turn. But still, when he's down here, I'm up near I'm right near the center of the board. At that point, I was expect him, to launch some drones coming towards me, and then I have to dodge them or whatever, fire them or whatever. Because at the very least, he could find out how I was going to react to drones. And he didn't, which was, in my mind, weird. But this definitely, Crash and Burn is playing a long game. Okay. So, now, let's close. So that's where we ended turn one. Basically, it was pretty much I did a 28-21 split. He basically did I did a 21-28 split. Because I decided I really didn't need the middle of the board. But I figured I needed the speed later on. So I did 21-28 split. He just did flat 21. It was like, okay, fine. So that's where we ended up. I was towards the bottom, near the middle of the map. Looks like it was like 22-22. He's over on 39-23. So that is a range 17. So, he's not going to fire me. I'm not going to fire him. That's fine. Okay. So, 15 impulses later, what happens is that I come around to the bottom, and I forgot to mention that when he came out of that corner, when we ended the turn, I was facing direction C. He's facing direction F. So we're gonna do a oblique. So I went, okay, fine. He might fire his hellbore at me, and which, okay, he fires hellbore at me. No big deal. Because he only has a single hellbore, so it's not going to cause me nearly as much problems. But okay, so I come around the bottom. He keeps turning, so he turns from from F to E. I turn from C to B, whereas we're kind of circling each other. I end up at he launches some drones, and what I do is, since I'm going speed 28 at this time, because I wanted to close in on fast. I know that I'm going to move every single impulse, and got these speed 20 drones coming in. So I time it, and this is one thing that the Andrew can do quite well, because it can invariably go up to speed 28 or 30. Some people say that you can do this with a lesser speed, but it gets tricky. I'm going to be honest with you. It gets very tricky because the timing of the impulses gets hard, because this is what I'm talking about. I line it up so that I'm at range 1 of the drone center line. But the important part here is that the next impulse, I move. The drones don't. So, and then the impulse after that, I also move. The drones move, but it doesn't matter. So what that allows me to do is what happens. The result is what you see here, which is they were at 31.25. I was at 30.25. I was able to side slip to 31.26 while he stayed at 31.25. His flight of 5 drones. And so I go up to 32.25, and since there's 2 options here that the wind could have done. The wind could have headed. If he wanted to, he could have headed the drones to have it so that I was in his FA arc. That is an option here. But he didn't do that. In which case, when they moved, they'd be behind me. Or if I side slip in, they'd be really behind me. I mean, they'd be really in a bad position. They're in bad position anyway. So he turned so that they're facing down in direction D. I'm facing up direction B, and they're directly aft to me. I went, great. Basically, I bypassed them. Didn't cost me a single point of energy, and I just kept on going. Now, at this point, I decide that, I'm just going to... He had just turned 2 impulses before, and he was going speed 29. And I was going speed 28 at the time. The thing is that, okay, I know he can't hit. Actually, in theory, he can. I doubt it, but he can. That's one of those desperation moves that you do when you have no other choice. But he didn't, He didn't do that, which at this early juncture in the game, I wouldn't do either. It's like, no, that's a desperation move when you had no other choice. And he still had a lot of the game to go. So obviously he's not going to hit. So I decided to fire at range 5 off his shield number 6. Now, the surprise I got was he had 16 points of shield reinforcement. So I did 30. 30. That's just weird. That's weird. Because 30 points of damage. That's weird. Why does it say that? It's saying that he has 16 shield boxes remaining. It should be 14. Because shield reinforcement was 16 minus... I'll have to double check on that one later. Something's weird on that. That should not be 16. It should be 14. But anyhow, He does 16 points of reinforcement, and it ends up with in this case, 16 shield. I got to check to see if it's 16 or 14. But basically, so I hit a lot of reinforcement. So I was like, okay. So he's playing the reinforcement game. Fine. Honestly, I have no choice here. I have to go with that. Because he's going to go next impulse. So no matter what I do, I can't get on that that rear shield. Now, I could, in theory, have gotten on the rear shield if I would have been a little more patient. Again, I think we're looking at now. I think I was being a little impatient, because if I would have waited, he would have to go straight. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I could have gone straight, and then I could have turned, and then at that point I could have gotten to his rear shields. In which case I wouldn't have hit the reinforcement, and I would have gotten some internals. So that was a mistake on my part. That's my first mistake. Now that I review here. So, but the point is, also I was able to get around the drone without causing me use any energy whatsoever to fight against those. But I hit the big steel reinforcement, the big block. And to be honest, overall I given up the whole shield reinforcement guessing game, because I don't try to I'm not too worried about the reinforcement of my own shields when I play Galactics, just because I guess wrong so often. I'm just wasting my energy, so. And in this case, one I never even thought about him actually using all the power for that reinforcement, which I should have. But most people they reinforce the shield number 1 because that's the one they're trying to protect the most. But he didn't. He was set up for shield number 6. So annoying, but I dealt. So at the end of the turn, basically, when I went straight up, he turned and came straight up, and of course there's the drone's 4 hexes behind me. He's 8 hexes away from me. I'm off his shield number 2. So at this point he still has 5 drones sitting here, and I'm there. So I end the turn. I think it was speed 21. Yeah, I ended the turn with speed 21. Because I wanted to save some power, so I did a 28-21 split. No big surprise there. So now my issue here at this point is that I'm starting to run out of room here. Yes, I'm at hex 3514. So given I'm at hex 3514, and he's behind me, and I don't have my TR beams, and I'm on his good shields. If I keep going up here, he's got me pinned. So I figured the only way to get around this is I do something crazy on the next turn. So impulse 4 of turn 3, I hit directly towards him. Now here's another mistake that I made, a boo-boo that I made. And that is, okay, I did a het. I don't think that to me was a good idea. And I'm looking at this after I did a het and go, if I'm going to try to avoid these drones, I'm in trouble, because I'm going to have to go almost like range 1 of the win. Now, that's bad. So what I decided to do is try to tear down some of these drones. So I fired 4 phaser 2s, one of that had an arc. So I fired 4 drones, killed 3 of them. This is my boo-boo. What I did is I did a displacement so that I could jump away from the drones. I'm looking at this now, and what I should have done is ran right into the drones, or at the very least, lab the drones, and then realizing, possibly realizing what kind they are, even if they were, as long as I can identify one of them as a type 1, and there's a type 1 and a type 4, I should be fine because I only got 2 drones left. So I could have hit my front panels and keep going, because he's not going to do that. He's going to do some damage, but he's not going to do any internals, period, no matter what. Because I can still run away without using my displacement device, because I want to reserve the use of a displacement device when I need to use it. I felt like this was one of those times. In all honesty, realized I was wrong. I shouldn't have done that. I should have let them hit me. Now, to be honest, part of my reasoning is that I'm used to trying to avoid damage. Well, there's a problem with that long term, and the thing is, Crash and Burn was thinking long term, and we'll come to see that, the fruition of what happens. Okay, so do that. On that impulse, I do a displacement. I actually succeed, and I jump 6 hexes away and have it so that he has no way of firing at me, because I figured he's going to fire his Hellbore at me. And earlier, because let me go back. Yeah, I'm still in the FA arc. I'm range 4 of the Hellbore, so I was like, oh, this is scary. Oh, I'm sorry. I apologize. I just realized something. I'm being stupid. I apologize. I did not tell you what the Win aux box has in the option mounts. I apologize. And chat room, you should have scolded me earlier. That is okay. In the front 2 option mounts, it's got a Phaser G and the Hellbore. In the right side, it's got a Disruptor. On the left side, it's got a drone rack. So he's got 5 drone racks, 1 Disruptor, 1 Hellbore, and 1 Phaser G. Okay. Now, this is 32. So I run away and I run down to here. He goes up and turns around and goes chase me into the bottom corner. So we end the turn. I'm all the way down in 1020 hex 1027. He's in the middle of the board around, actually in 2015, which is range 17. I'm 6 hexes away from the drones, so I got plenty of time. So I figured, okay, what I need to do, because of other issues, I decided to go slower. Because obviously I can't. The Andromedan is a fast ship, but it can't stay fast, because of invariably it's going to have to use batteries, and it only has 15 batteries, so you can run out of batteries real fast if you're not careful. So, you still have the 2 drones. Okay, now, so what happens is I come up, I actually blow, at the beginning of the impulse, in turn 4, I actually turn around. I'm in the corner. I turn up as of column 3. So on 326, I turn A. I go straight up. Well, the problem is at this point, the wind has he's got me cornered. I don't have a displacement device, which was, as I said, dumb. That's why when it comes to those drones, I should have just ran into them, because then I would have a displacement device for this kind of situation, because sooner or later this was going to happen to me. And what happened? Okay, He gets me at range 2. On my rear panels, range 2. I'm at 0119. He's at 0320, range 2. And what does he do? He does something which, as I said, Crash and Burn was looking long term, which is he's keeping an eye on how much battery I'm using. He's tracking my energy, and it becomes very obvious because of this. Because he tried to tractor me. Most people are very fearful that the Andro has so much power that you'll never be able to tractor him. Now, that was also before they reduced the number of batteries, because if I had my full battery pack, if I had the full 6 batteries, he'd never have a chance. So he tries it. Now, this is where I goofed up in the rules. Because, to be honest, I didn't have this battery power that I was using for anti-tractor. I had to use my there's a function when it comes to the TRs which is just so beautiful. It's awful and it's beautiful. And that is, tractor repulsor beams can be used as tractors. They also can be used for anti-tractor work. This is where I broke the rules. And we had a discussion after this point, which is I'm supposed to announce, 1, that I use my TR beam. 2, I have to use the full energy of the TR at the time. So I can't just use 1 point, 2 points of anti-tractor, 3 points of anti-tractor like a regular battery usage. I have to say, no, I've got 6 points of anti-tractor. And Crash and Burn, basically, after we discussed it, he thought about it. I might not have continued on. And because here's the thing, as I told him, hey, if you want to go back, fine, we can go back. We can have it so that you only used a little bit of energy for tractor. One, I'm sure a lot of this was allocated tractor too, so a lot of it will be wasted energy anyway. So it doesn't matter on that grounds. It's only when if he started to use battery, that's when it would matter. So, and I said, okay, if you didn't want to use all that energy, I'd be happy to. If you want to, fine. We can have it so I only use the 1 TR beam. I get 1 TR beam back. And then you get your energy back. That's fine. If that's the way you want to do it, that's fine. If you want to go back to 2 impulses and replay those 2 impulses, I'll be fine with that too. I will not change the way I played that impulse. I have no other choice to play it the way I played it. The only choice the person is Crash and Burn. That means he could have, at that moment in time, he could have decided to not use as much energy, because I don't see any other, when it comes to his movement, what he did and all that, I do not see how any of that would have changed. Not one iota would that have changed. Because one thing, if he says, well, if you had one, because he tracked my battery power pretty good, so he would have known that, I actually, even just logically, even if I had 1 TR beam, would I have headed back right into him and fired it at him? Hell no. I've already used the het bonus. I'm not going to do another het to die this early in the game when I still have so much game left to play. So, So that's why he decided, just let it go. Let it go. Now, what happened after this? Okay. Yeah, I show it. Okay. So he tries to tractor me. He's unsuccessful. So, this one, I forget what this one is. Yes. Okay, this is what it is. Okay. One thing I had done is the midterm speed changed from 28 to 30 because of I was going to miss an impulse. And I couldn't miss that impulse. The impulse of movement. Because if I missed that impulse of movement, I would be dead. So, now at this moment in time, what he does, was it here or here? I'm trying to find out. Dun, dun, dun. Yeah, it was back Impulse 24. Impulse 24, he does something which I can't dizzy dive because I used it the previous turn. I used it in turn 3, and we're on right now on turn 4. It takes 2 turns to charge the displacement device. So that's why he knew he had me. That's why he could track me, because I didn't have my displacement device. As I said, I made that mistake of using my displacement device on turn 3 to displace it away from the drones instead of taking the drones at my front panels, which I should have done. I should have knocked down the 3, tried to knock down 4, knock down the 3 and go, okay, fine, just run into them. That's what I should have done. Just like I should have tried to go for the rear panel, rear shields. Because normally people don't reinforce rear shields. But anyhow, so now this was interesting. He fires his Phaser G, his Phaser 1s, and his 2 Phaser 3s. No Disruptor, no Hellbore. Okay, I can understand the Disruptor because he probably used up the energy instead of allocating for the Disruptor. What he did was he allocated for Tractor. Instead, he put all that energy into Tractor. Okay, fine. Now, the one thing that, as I pointed out, when I was reflecting on this game, this is a perfect opportunity. I don't think it gets any better than this. Actually, it does get a tiny bit better if you get the range 1. But reflecting on this while taking these screenshots and going over the game, I realized something. The Win never charges his Hellbore. Never. Because if he was doing a rolling Hellbore, doing the 3 points of energy, he would have fired it right here. This is the perfect opportunity to fire. Because of is it here or here? Here it is. Because of this. This right here, remember, panels were full up to 4 boxes left that I could actually fill of energy. If you would have fired that Hellbore and hit, there's 7 internals guaranteed. But he didn't. Which tells me he didn't charge it. He's never been charging it the whole entire game, because if he was charging for the whole entire game, he would have fired it. This impulse, the range 2, he would have fired it, which tells me he has not been charging it at all. So it's like, okay, that's a revelation. Now, here's the one thing I cannot rely on. I cannot rely on that will continue to be so. That he'll continue not to charge his Hellbore. I can't rely on that. Never can. So, you know, now this, I'll show you the reasoning for this, which is okay, right here. Now, he sideslipped up, and I went fine. I figured my best plan was to turn in. There's only one minor thing that I didn't think about when I turned in, and it's fine because of one, how it turned out, and it definitely was the right, after doing what I did, it was the right move. And that is, I turned in because I realized, okay, if I turn in, he sideslipped, the next impulse, he has to go straight ahead right where I am. And that means I can sideslip and get behind him. And he's already fired almost everything he's got. Now this is where he made a mistake. I'll show you that in a moment. But okay, he launches drones going directly up, and I go, okay, great. Because now the problem is, if I go straight, they come and go whack me in the rear. They whack me in the rear, I'm dead. So that means my only choice here is to go. I can go sideslip away, in which case he comes here and gets another shot of anything he's got left. And I think this is why I did something unusual, and that shocked him, and therefore he made a mistake. And that is, so I fired, I had the 2 phaser 3s here. Boop, boop. So now he's down to 3 drones. So at 3 drones, what do? I sideslip smack dab into those 3 drones. And now all 3 were single space drones, which surprised the heck out of me. I expected at least one of them to be a Type 4, 2 space drone. Nope. Which in my mind, that was a mistake. Though he might have thought that I was going to sideslip away and then basically run away, giving him another shot at my rear panels. But I didn't. I slammed right into him. So, because he wants the Type 4s, you want to save those for the times when you can hit, and he didn't know he was going to hit. So, but if I was him, I would have at least done one Type 4. Maybe not both, but at least one Type 4 to at least keep me honest. Okay, so at the end of side slipping on Impulse 27, front panels are beautifully full, and I do mean beautifully full, because of it's 36 exactly. That means I get no leak points. Because if it was 37, I get a leak point. But only 36, no leak point. Now, so if you notice, my panels are very, very full. Very, very full. So, obviously, he continues going up. I continue, going, I turn, side slip, keep on side slipping away. So I end up here on Impulse 30. Now, on Impulse 30, what I do, and this is, you'll see the resolution here, which is I switch my panels from reinforced to standard level. Why did I do that? Because he basically had nothing to fire at me at this moment in time. I mean, he had absolutely nothing. He actually, later on, he fired his rear extended arc phaser 3 at my rear panels, and he got 1 point of energy. I think it was 1 point of energy. No, I think no. Yeah. Yeah, it means that he missed. But anyhow. So he's got nothing to fire at me. Great. So I changed from reinforced to standard levels, because we're at range 6. He's got nothing facing me. He's got a disruptor, but he would have fired it if he had it. So I do that. So I now have 12 points of power sucked into that battery. So obviously my battery was a little low. And so basically, as I pointed out just a little bit ago, I think I pointed out, and if I haven't, I'm going to say it now, which is Crash and Burner was tracking my battery usage, energy usage very carefully and figuring out how much battery power I needed to use every single turn. So he knew that I was low on battery power, and that's why when I broke the tractors, it shocked him. He didn't think I had that much energy. Well, I didn't. It's called, I use my TR beams for anti-tractor work. And after I told him that, he said, "Oh, that figures. I didn't think you had that much energy." And I thought, and it's like, yeah. And then of course, then came the screams and howls of the gallery going, "Yeah, you're supposed to do that." But it's like, yeah, I'm sorry, you're right. I made a mistake, and then we had the whole discussion. So I'm not gonna go through that. I'm not gonna repeat that discussion again that I just did a few minutes ago. But anyway, okay, so I get 12 points of energy into my panels. My panels are now at standard level. I got my rear and my front panels are both full when it comes to standard level. Great, fine. So that's fine. So at the end of this turn, what we end up being is here. I get to be turned away. He's here. And I made sure that, that if he turns, he will be still quite a distance away. Now, at the moment, we're at range 9. So I'm still good because because at this point we had to stop because it was like 11 o'clock at night. And I had to get to bed. But anyhow, in the turn stuff, which is I dissipated 6 points of energy from my front panels and 4 from the rear. Also, 3 in the battery. So I took 9 points of power out of my front panel. So it went from not 36 points of energy. It ended with 20 points of energy in the front panels with 7 degradation. The rear panels, I was able to suck out 6 points of energy. 2 going to the batteries, 4 went to dissipation. So I end up with 11 points of energy and 7 degradation in the rear panel. So I've got quite a bit of quote unquote damage to my PA panels, though definitely got the 7 degradation, which is damage. But my batteries are quite well, given that I have put over the course of this turn 17 points of energy. The 12 and the 5, so it's a total of 17. My batteries are pretty darn good at this moment in time. Big surprise. And so I'm overall my batteries are in good condition, so I can still run around like a freaking nut. Now, obviously, when it comes to my weapon situation, my weapon situation is such that I have no TR beams. Okay, I have no TR beams whatsoever. I'll have a displacement device at the end of this turn. Well, actually, not at the end of this turn. At the beginning of turn 5, I'll have a displacement device, which means nothing. What it means is that all the next turn, I'm just going to be running around like a freaking nut. Now, the question is how fast of a nut am I going to be doing? And is there anything, obviously, what's going to be my goal for next turn? I need to go examine my PA panels. Because this is what happens. This is what happens to every Andromedan player. I think I'm, at the moment, I'm probably the most prominent one because I play at the ship the most often. I play the I'm sorry, I'm making sure that I'm using the right term because otherwise Gene will I'll have an incoming frying pan. It's Empire, though the Andromedans, yeah, they're a mystery overall. But okay, let's just call them an empire and just stick with that. Don't have to worry about race versus empire. Um, at least in this telling. But anyway, in this empire, I've played it the most. And one of the things that an Andromeda is always constantly thinking about: how do I get this energy out of my panels? You're constantly thinking about this. You're spending most of your time you're trying to figure out energy. That you're always constantly thinking about energy. In this case, I need to see what can I possibly do to drain all that energy. There's a couple possibilities that end up that I might do, but and the key here is, of course, is going to be distance. I gotta get distance from the wind, so that if I do something, like drop panels, or do something that, let's say if I completely drop a panel and he is in that arc, it makes no sense for him to fire. He might fire his phaser ones. He might even fire a disruptor in a desperate hope. Question is, will he do it? Well, a disruptor, I can see him doing if he had it charged. Phasers, do you want to do that? Probably not. Because that means that's less energy that he has for next impulse. If he misses, that's wasted energy. If he hits, all the better. So, just to let you know, the plan is for this Saturday. That's okay. What's today? Today is December 9th. So it's going to be December 11th. So on December 11th, Saturday, December 11th, we're going to start at 7 p.m. So if anyone wants to watch the hopefully, the end of the game, the only reason I say hopefully is just because I'm hoping not to have to play another couple hours. In which case I might have to ask my family to help me out, because my son's visiting for the weekend, and normally I take him back to his group home on Sunday. But if I have to play on Sunday, I'm gonna have to ask one of my family members, either my wife or my daughter, to drive him home. So hopefully we will not have to have that issue, and I can just kill him and he'll be dead. I have to think about what I'm going to do, because things have not definitely. One thing I have to agree here is that things have not turned out the way I had expected them to. As I said, Crash and Burn has been playing a very long-term game, because he didn't fire a single weapon at me until turn 4. Yeah, turn 4. They didn't fire a single one. If you're disallowing the drones, because in my mind the drones you can disallow them. But even then, he used them sparingly as all heck. So he's looking for a long-term game. I'm assuming he wants to do this all over again. He wants to repeat of the last 4 turns. Will it happen? No, because of 2 things. The main thing here is, 1, I've seen his strategy. 2, I know what he's looking for. I know what he's doing. 3, I'll be prepared for the next close encounter, because I won't make the same mistake again. That is, if I had my displacement device I could have just said, give him, take my tractor, please take it. Because if I would let him tractor me and I would have said, okay, I'm going to attempt to displace. That's well, actually no. tractor made range 2 in that situation, if I would attempt to displace and then I failed, then I could have used my TR beams to break the tractor. And then the impulse after that, I could have, if it was succeeded, then I could, displace it so that I can attack the rear shields, which would have been good. So, so the next encounter, I'll have my displacement device, so I'll have an eject button. That's number one. Number two. Now the thing is, I don't think I can repeat what I did again, which is allow his drones to hit me. I might have to do exactly what I did the first battle pass. I consider my first battle pass, where I slipped around him. So that's I'll probably have to do that with the drones. And of course, now there's a big difference, which is now I have some damage on me. He's got some damage on him, but he's damage also on shield number 6. With shield number 6, okay, he at the moment he has been able to keep that out of my arc, and he can probably continue still to do that. Which means what I've got to do is I've got to not make the same mistake I made the first battle pass, which is if I can get it so that because here's what I wanted to do all along, which is it was playing well in turn 2. Which is using my maneuverability to maneuver around him so I can get the shot that I want. Now, as I mentioned, I screwed up. And I could have gotten the shot if I would have been just a little more patient. So I have to be a little more patient to get the shot that I want, that I know I can get without taking the damage. Now, the one thing that I'm going to have to keep an eye on is whether he's the tough part about him now is for turns that I don't fire at him, that I don't hit any reinforcement, I have no clue where his energy went. No clue where his energy goes. So now if I would have tracked the energy for turn 2, I might have been able to guess that he wasn't charging his hellbores. I did not do that, so it's my mistake. But on turn 1, could I tell? No. On turn 3, could I tell? No. But the one thing I never saw in all of the game, this game so far, I've not seen him once discharge his hellbore. Because if he charges it and then he decides to stop charging, he has to announce that he's discharging it. He already did that once with Disruptor, where he charged Disruptor and he never fired it. So he had to announce his discharge. So it's like, okay, great. That was, to me, that's a kind of a small win in that case. So it might be he just decided that he wasn't going to chance it, which why? Maybe my guess is he did not get the. I don't know why he didn't fire it, to be honest, because I'm pretty sure he had the Disruptor in arc, in the proper range, sometime. Maybe he didn't want to use it that late in the game. That late in the turn. Don't know. So I think I'll wrap it up here. I'm hoping you guys enjoyed the review of my game. For those of you interested, as I said, I'm going to be, I'm just checking one thing. I will be playing this Saturday, December 11th at 7 p.m. So if you want to watch me win or lose, come and join us. Hopefully, I will see you guys there. If not, that's fine too. Obviously, in either way, I will, maybe next podcast or maybe a podcast over that, but definitely I will give you guys a review of that game. Possibly if it's ended, obviously I will show the full in its full glory, energy allocation and movies and all that, the whole thing. So you'll see the whole thing, a little more in real time instead of just screenshots of the game. So with that, I am Paul Franz. I'd bid you a good night.